Christmas Do-Over is a great film. I thoroughly enjoyed this. It's no secret that I love Groundhog Day type films where we relive the same day again and again if they're done right. And I have to say, this is one where it's definitely done right. This was released in 2006. It's directed by Cyran or Cyran and written by Trevor, Cristow, and Jacqueline David, and it stars Mohr as Kevin. And Kevin is having Christmas with his son and his ex-wife and his ex-wife's family, and he's not a very likable person. He's got a pretty bad attitude, and he basically makes fun of the whole season of Christmas. And he wakes up the next day and it's Christmas Day again. And this is because his son had wished it would be Christmas every day. And as he keeps reliving this day, he starts to learn that his behavior and his attitude, they're not acceptable. And over time, he obviously gradually begins to find a much more positive way of presenting himself. But whether it'll be enough to get him back on the right track or if he's destined to relive Christmas forever, I won't say. But I really thoroughly enjoyed this. Kevin is an interesting character because I hated his behavior and his attitudes, but I found his performance, or Mohr's performance, to be so compelling that I really thoroughly enjoyed watching the character, even at the very beginning when he was just displaying this despicable attitude. And I found that to be so great. There was just something about him that I loved watching throughout it. So the character, I think they did very well. With regards to the repetition, there is maybe a tiny bit too much repetition. This is to be expected with this kind of film, but I think it's all down to the pacing and how many times we relive the same day and what bits they focus on. Generally, every time he relives the same day, we don't see the full day. We see a bit of it. And, the next time he relives it, we might see the dinner table scene. The next day, it might be the unwrapping the presents around the tree. There is maybe a tiny bit too much repetition at one point, but in general, I think they edited it really well so that everything we see is slightly different and we never see the exact same moment too many times, with, as I said, maybe a couple of exceptions. But I really enjoyed it. I thought they handled it very, very well. The pacing was generally really good, and there's a lot of Christmas in this, an awful lot of Christmas, and I really thoroughly enjoyed it. If you like this kind of film where we live the same day again and again, this is a pretty decent example, in my opinion, of how to handle this narrative well. And Kevin, as a character, it baffles me that I liked him from the beginning because I hated his behavior, his attitude, his outlook. It was just awful. But there was just something about him that I found to be really interesting, and that's obviously a good thing. The performances from everybody were absolutely fine, really great, no problems there. Pacing, as I said, was generally very well done, and the level of Christmas is pretty ideal. If you're looking for a very, very festive film, then Christmas Do-Over is a great one to go with. Definitely one that I had a lot of fun with, really thoroughly enjoyed, and definitely recommend.